Welcome to the College Investor Audio Show, where we talk about the biggest issues impacting millennial money, from student loan debt to side hustles to building wealth. We will show you how to get out of debt so that you can build real wealth for the future.
Hello and welcome to the show today as we let you know how to do your own taxes. And one method is way easier to DIY than others. Let's check it out. Let's get right to it. So our parents, they had it rough during tax season. Doing their own taxes sometimes took like a week or more. You know, they'd spread the papers out, receipts across the kitchen table, punch in all the numbers in a calculator, flip through the IRS's annual tax guide until ink coated their fingertips. Yikes. But today, thanks to tax software and many other innovations, we can do our own taxes with much fewer headaches. It's fantastic. 3 ways to get your taxes done by yourself. Let's dive right in here. So tax professionals do exist for a reason, because some people's taxes are just way too complex, even for the best tax software programs. I am included in some people. But many of us can still knock out this year's taxes all by ourselves, just by filling out and mailing in a paper form. Yes, you can still do that. Using the IRS's free e-file fillable forms, or using an online or desktop tax program to prepare and file your return. Let's talk about the first one, paper forms. So if you plan on mailing in a paper form to the IRS this year, rock on! You're upholding a tradition dating back to 1913 when we amended the Constitution to legalize income taxes. Thanks, Woodrow Wilson, for that. Anyway, since most people file electronically, the IRS will no longer automatically mail you a paper tax form. You'll have to download your own tax forms online. When you've got everything ready to go, you'll need to find the correct mailing address where you should send your forms. If the government owes you money, you can keep that retro vibe going by having the IRS mail you a refund check. Or you can include a routing number and account number on your form for direct deposit. That's just too 21st century for me. Who should do this? Only taxpayers with a lot of knowledge or a remarkably simple tax picture should file their own taxes manually like this. There's a lot of room for error, and you could be missing out on a bigger refund. Your refund gives you access to your money, which the government has been holding all year. You should get as much back as possible. Also, if you're accustomed to IRS 1040-EZ, the simplest paper tax form, keep in mind it's not available anymore due to Trump's tax reform. Let's take a look at number 2, the second way to do this, which is free IRS e-filing. You can also do your own taxes at irs.gov using the site's free fillable forms. These forms look and work just like paper forms, except you just type in your numbers instead of writing them in the blanks. Other than saving paper and postage and getting your data to the IRS faster, this approach offers little benefit over paper forms. Plus, you don't get to use that cool new fountain pen you bought. You'd still need to know the nuances of the tax code to optimize your refund. So someone who is single and has no dependents, works at a wage-earning job, W-2, and does not plan to write off any student loan debt or even take advantage of any tax rebate or tax credit, could make this work. Even then, you could be missing out on a credit you didn't even know about. But some tax software does offer free filing options, and we do have a list of free tax software options at thecollegeinvestor.com. But anyone with more complicated taxes should either just hire a professional or use the next option, tax software, which is what we talk about next. So the third option for you, a lot of millennial taxpayers have never used an actual tax form, like the paper one, or fillable online forms that we just discussed. And for good reason, too. Software can actually take your tax information, populate tax forms for you, and file your federal and state returns. Pretty awesome. You can track the progress of your return, which removes a lot of the "where's my refund?" guesswork. As these programs grow more advanced, they can now lead you through the process of claiming rebates and credits such as the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which could lead to a bigger refund. You don't have to know about the credits or the rebates before you get started either. The software can suggest them based on your answers to questions. With software, you can do your own taxes without being completely on your own. Now, with that said, here's how to choose tax software if you plan to DIY this year. Unless you're a tax accountant or a taxpayer with the simplest needs, your best bet will be connecting with a good online or desktop tax program to file your federal and state taxes. Which software you use, of course, should depend on your needs and preferences. You're going to see ads online and on TV all over the place for some of the nation's leading tax programs. A lot of services offer free filing. Fewer services can actually follow through on that offer, though. Some software services actually bait you with the promise of free services only to require payment if you have kids or need to itemize. Others let you file a federal return for free, but require payment when you start on your state return. You can check out our post about which services actually do allow for free filing to find out if you can file without paying a fee this year, and of course that's at thecollegeinvestor.com. Generally, someone with a more complicated tax situation, like if you have multiple sources of income or a home office, for example, you're going to need to pay a fee to unlock a program's deluxe or premium features. And that's okay. When you can unlock a bigger refund by paying more for more advanced tax services, that upfront investment can pay off. Here's the bottom line. Go with a free service if you can, but more importantly, find the service which best meets your needs. Here are a few of our top picks to get you started real quick. TurboTax, H&R Block, and TaxSlayer, all great options. Now let's dive in a little bit to the essential info you're going to need to file your own taxes. Even with the help of the right software, you'll need to gather some information and make a few decisions before getting started filing your own returns. Work forms. You'll need your W-2s or 1099s from your employers. You should receive W-2s from your employer in January. Check with your Human Resources Department or supervisor if you have any questions for that. Filing status. If you're married, are you going to file a joint return or separate forms? What about head of household if you're not married but have dependents? Your software can also help you answer these questions. Social Security numbers. You probably know your own, but what about your spouses and your kids? Gather all those little cards so you can enter everyone's numbers if you're filing jointly or claiming dependents. Do you have to file? If you're someone's dependent or you worked very little last year, you may not have to file, though you should if you have a refund available. Will you take the standard deduction? You can claim the IRS's standard deduction without providing documentation. The deduction increased this year to $25,100 for a joint return and $12,550 for a single filer. If you can't document deductions beyond that amount, you'll do best to claim the standard deduction. Having this kind of information in one place and making these decisions in advance will help you regardless of whether you're filing electronically or manually. Of course, if your taxes are more complicated, you'll need to consider additional questions. You can save yourself some time by collecting documents such as deductible interest. You should be able to log into your mortgage account and student loan servicers to download a form showing how much interest you paid last year. Deducting tuition. If you attended college last year, you could write off tuition using a 1098-T form from your college's business office, which they should have sent. Capital gains or losses. If you invest, your broker or even your robo-advisor can help you calculate your capital gains or losses for IRS Schedule D. Receipts. Freelancers who write off expenses for a home office or traveling expenses should spend some time collecting mileage and or receipts to calculate those write-offs. Property taxes. As a homeowner, you pay property taxes in most states. Your county tax assessor's office should be able to generate a receipt if you don't have it. Your mortgage holder's escrow account manager may also be able to help. Who should not do their own taxes? Let's take a look at this. Some of us do need help and guidance beyond the offerings of software. That's why tax preparers still make a pretty good living, even as tax software has grown more common. If you've already worked with your tax software's customer service reps, but you still got some unanswered questions, or If you don't quite understand what you're filing, might be time to call a pro. Taxpayers in the following situations will most likely benefit the most from hiring somebody. Investors. Yeah, TurboTax's software serves investors well, but a tax preparer should have a more nuanced skill set if you're concerned. Consultants and freelancers. Juggling multiple income sources and writing off business expenses complicates a tax return. Trust me. While TaxSlayer software excels at this, a tax pro can make life even easier. Landlords. Owning a few rentals as a way to earn some extra money can also complicate your tax picture. TurboTax's software can help if you're filing your own return. If you still need more help to clear up some questions, seek out a pro. Business owners. Your small business's taxes will usually be significantly more complicated than your personal tax picture. You may even need to consult a tax attorney rather than an accountant. Anyone who feels uncertain. If you think a tax professional could help you claim a bigger refund, either by helping you find credits or even optimize tax rebates, you should have a conversation with a professional. If, by the way, you want to meet with a professional but don't know where to start, maybe consider a virtual service like TurboTax Live. You might pay a little bit more, but you get access to a virtual tax preparer who can answer your questions and walk you through what you need to know. And let's wrap all this up today. Just one more thought before we go. Some people may still want to file their own taxes manually or using the IRS's free fillable forms. Most taxpayers, however, will benefit from using tax software to file. Software allows you to do your own taxes on your own schedule while also benefiting from professional knowledge. It's a best of both worlds kind of approach for DIYers. You might need to pay a software fee or buy a tax application outright. In most cases, you'll still save compared to hiring a professional. And that is our show for today. I hope it was helpful and at least gave you some good ideas on how to DIY this thing. Here's the cool thing. We have done extensive reviews of all of the popular tax software programs. Some we talked about today, but there's so many more out there. You can find it at thecollegeinvestor.com. Just copy and paste the title of this podcast right into the search bar. It'll take you to this article, and you have all kinds of resources to click on. Thanks so much for stopping by today, and we'll talk to you again real soon.